Please welcome Live Again! I mean, what an album this was. It was 25th anniversary now. What do you remember about release day?
I knew you were going to ask us. We were thinking about it earlier, what we were doing on that exact day, and if we'd gone to the pub or something, we probably wouldn't remember. But chances are we were doing a show, because at that time it was just relentless. We must have played like 200 shows a year at that point. It was just...
So you really have no idea what you did, do you? I mean, you just basically said, well, we're roughly doing stuff like that.
We would have celebrated on some level because it was, we'd been together a long time before that record came out. We'd been playing for 7 years before that, before we even sort of stepped into the studios to make the full-length record. So we were pretty excited, I would imagine, when it finally came out.
Did you have an inkling as you were making the record just how good it was going to be?
Well, as Chris said, we'd been together for a long time. It seemed like an overnight success to everybody else, but we'd been at work and at play at this for 6 or 7 years before the record came out. So we had a pretty strong vision of what we wanted to be as a band. And when I say strong vision, we just wanted to throw everything we loved into the melting pot, and this was the result of that. And so we were incredibly proud of it when we put it out, and we knew that it was kind of unique. We knew that there weren't many bands that sounded like us. But we had no idea it was going to go to the kind of stratosphere that it did.
So when you look back then, 25 years later, how has this record changed your lives?
Well, we said it the other day, we bought houses. We didn't go back to the supermarket job.
That doesn't feel very rock star.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Aren't you meant to buy stuff that ruins your life?
Then we bought TVs and we threw them out the window.
Thank heavens.
Yeah. Oh, it did change our life. I mean, all of a sudden, our dream initially was to play the Esplanade Hotel, and then all of a sudden we were like touring Japan and going to America and going to England and playing, all around the world. So it just changed. It changed everything for us.
I was re-listening to it today, and there's so many different styles of music that come through, but the main thing that I take away from it is like the energy that comes across in the recording. Is that still there, or was that like a big part of it when you were recording? We're just going to...
It's always been a big thing for us. We even still, we sort of treat our gigs like we're sporting matches or something. Like, we've got to go out there and win. I don't know who we're playing against. But it's always been like that. We always get kind of, we need to sort of work ourselves up to just this massive release of energy. But most of it comes from the audience as well. And when we were playing gigs back then, audiences were wild. I've never seen so many shoes get thrown on stage, and people, there was like... People were like 3 layers high with all the crowd surfing and all that kind of stuff. It was unbelievable. So it was hard not to feed off that energy and just want to keep giving it back. And
people rocked out to it because it's like so many of the songs are like songs for change. Like Prisoner of Society, for example. Do you still hold those values? Does that drive you still, or has... How you feel about the world changed since 1998?
This is a very strange smirk you've got.
Yeah, it is. Well, because it's. We were trying to write something that was like the atypical kind of anti-establishment, rock and roll, youthful rebellion, my generation kind of tune. That's what it was.
Yep.
I didn't really have a gripe against society. So I was doing okay. I'm not going to lie.
Do you know what the evidence of that is? Because All Torn Down, what a great song.
Great song.
Yeah.
And when you think of punk, this is the world's greatest rock song that's about town planning, really.
It is.
That's what it's...
It could be about town planning.
Oh, what's it really about?
Well, the thing is, we were sort of like really into nostalgia and like old cars and old buildings and stuff, and I just think we don't look after them in this country.
That's not punk, dude. Like,
No, I know.
punk should be wanting to burn all that stuff.
That's practically a letter to the editor.
Yeah, it's a pop,
well, no, the punk thing that we were into was bands like The Clash and bands like Midnight Oil. And when it comes to being sort of political and trying to make some kind of statement about society or politics or the world that we live in, it's bands like like those that inspired us, not the kind of, the ones that kind of just dressed it all up in safety pins and mohawks.
It comes later. Yeah, that's right.
What do you think you're going to move to? I mean, if you're interested in those kind of areas now, you've kind of gotten older. That's where you were before. What's your next kind of area going to be? writing songs. It's
Well,
a new song on that
I don't
album.
feel like we're the same. We are the same band, but we're not the same band. I think that record is sort of unrepeatable. It was a moment in time, and we captured something now that's really magical. Captured something then.
Yes.
It was really magical. We're still playing and we're still writing more songs. We've still got a lot of fuel in the tank, and we still feel as energetic as ever. Where we go to next is your guess is as good as mine.
On tour, I reckon.
On tour.
Yes, at the ESPY. You can get your hands on the expanded version of this album tomorrow with the Thank the Living End.